Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, a Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans by fans. If you're a Kings fan, make sure you smash up that like button down below. And please consider hitting that subscribe button. We put out fresh Kings content all the time, and we are live after every single game. Calvin, what's up, man? Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day, Barry. Unfortunately, no Kings win to talk about. That means no gold chain tonight, but we're here.
Yeah, unfortunately, no gold chain. It also looks like you're glitching a little bit. I can hear you fine, but you're running a little slow over there, probably because the Kings lost. But we'll just continue with it. Keep going. Want to give a shout out to everybody here in the chat. Jeff the Lefty, Matthew, Max. Welcome in, everybody. I am not scary, but it does rhyme with my name. But you know what's really scary, Calvin? The Kings lose tonight, 107-110 to the Miami Heat. I know I was predicting a Kings win tonight. However, I think I told you, I believe it was yesterday, I sent you a video that I stumbled across, and I knew we were going to lose this game instantly. I'd like to share that video with you guys here, but I'm going to wait until we get a couple more people in here. Shout out to Dara. What's up, Dara? Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, unfortunately, the Kings lose tonight. Let's take a look here at the box score. Sabonis led the way tonight, 37 minutes for him, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 8 of 15 from the field, made his only 3-point attempt of the game. The most important thing for him tonight was he didn't pick up a single personal foul until the fourth quarter, Calvin. Something you and I had touched on. Definitely huge for him. No De'Aaron Fox tonight. No Jimmy Butler for the Miami Heat. 12 points, 7 rebounds for Harrison Barnes. A lackluster performance, I guess, by Keegan Murray. We've really come to expect a lot more from him, which is funny. This is like his third game starting the NBA, and I'm like, only 7 points. What's going on, Keegan? We need more from you. 27 minutes for him. 9 points for Davion Mitchell, only 4 assists in 29 minutes, starting in the point guard spot in lieu of De'Aaron Fox. 38 minutes for Kevin Huerter, 22 points for him, 4 3-pointers. Calvin, looking at this box score, I thought maybe he would have had 5, 6, 7 threes, because for a moment in this game, the dude was absolutely stroking it. We did see him leave the game briefly due to an injury. However, he returned halfway through the fourth quarter, and everything seemed to be working out for him. We got to see Trey Lyles hit a 3 tonight, only 3 points for him, and then 19 huge points in only 22 minutes for Malik Monk off the bench. 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 5 from three-point range, and 7 big assists for Monk. Monk was definitely a distributor tonight. Calvin, give me some thoughts here.
Well, if you just look at the box score, I mean, it looks like the Kings played a great game. And overall, I would say they did play a good game on the road against a tough opponent. Huerter continued to play great. This was Sabonis's maybe best all-around game overall of the young season. And yeah, Malik Monk was really good off the bench. 29 assists in this game for the team, which is a huge number to hit. 12 turnovers. That's a great ratio right there for the Kings. So there's a lot of good things to take away, again, from this game. It's unfortunate it ended the way that it did, because I feel like that's all anyone is going to talk about. But this was a great game to watch until then, like 26 lead changes or something like that. The Kings almost broke it away there in the fourth quarter, early on in the fourth quarter, but Tyler Hero is an absolute king killer so far this year, and he brought Miami back all the way to victory, unfortunately.
And he was traveling on his way to do it. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But as far as the Miami Heat goes, 4 starters in double figures, 20 for Bam Adebayo, 22 for Kyle Lowry, 26 for Tyler Hero, including that game-winning 3 that you mentioned, and 10 points for the Strussman, or Struess, whatever. Dude, I always forget how to pronounce this guy's name. It's frustrating, and I hear it all the time from different people saying different things. Shout out to Sass here. Yeah, Davion wasn't doing much till the end. I mean, not offensively. However, he did, take it upon himself really late in this game. They needed 2 points. He'd get to the basket, get a layup. I got to give a shout out to Domantas Sabonis. 4 clutch free throws in this game. I know this is something that you and I have talked about was an Achilles heel of this team, and there's more than one, but it was missing free throws. He had 4 clutch free throws, 2 different opportunities to tie the game, and he did it in both of those. And then, unfortunately, they do lose to Tyler Hero in a travel. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Were you surprised not to see De'Aaron Fox in this game?
No, I wasn't surprised. After we heard the prognosis, basically, it's a bad bruise, no structural damage. It's pretty typical for guys to sit out at least one game after a collision like that. So I wasn't surprised at all, especially in today's NBA where, guys wake up and they just decide they don't want to play. I'm not saying that's what De'Aaron did today, but you see that all the time now. So it's pretty typical, I would say.
Yeah, no Jimmy Butler after playing last night. They were on a back-to-back. They beat the Golden State Warriors last night. So 2 big wins for Miami in a row here to bring them to 4-5, 1 game below 500. The Kings dropped to 2-5. Unfortunate. Would have loved to pick up a W tonight heading into Orlando, but it is what it is. Calvin, I might as well show this play here. And let's talk about it. I don't know if you had enough time to watch this, but check out this 3 here at the end.
Hero has 10 points in the fourth quarter. 7 seconds left. 5. Hero for 3. Kaboom!
I know it's painful to watch, but I'm going to show it here one more time. You can watch the left foot is established as the pivot foot right in front of the referee,
Hero has 10
and then he
points in the
shuffles the
fourth
pivot
quarter.
foot to get the 3 off.
7 seconds left. 5. Hero for 3. Kaboom! With 1.8
Really
left.
unfortunate there. We saw James Ham reporting about it. We saw Mike Brown in his post-game press conference say that he traveled. Obviously the referees don't want to make bad calls. The unfortunate thing about this, I mean, if you go back to look at this play, the referee is literally standing right next to him, looking at his feet. So it is quite unfortunate. But hey, Kings lose. Can't blame everything on the referees. The Kings put themselves in an opportunity to lose this game. But it really was quite unfortunate. Would have loved to see a travel called there and the Kings get the ball.
Yeah, unfortunate is pretty much all you can say about it, right? I mean, yes, the referee is right there. If I could play devil's advocate from his perspective, when you're officiating that play, of course, you're watching the feed at first to see if he gets the shot off behind the 3-point line. That's the most important thing, right? But when it's clear that he is going to be behind the 3-point line and Terrence Davis goes into the air to contest, his eyes probably came up for that brief second to see if Terrence Davis was going to make contact, and that's when you lose track of the feet shuffling. I mean, it's not as obvious of a travel as, blatantly taking 2 steps forward. It's picking up that pivot foot. It happens very quickly. So I know that that's not an excuse anybody wants to hear. I'm just trying to think of why the official wouldn't see it in that situation. Unfortunately, refs miss calls. It happens. The Kings were up 9 with 8 minutes left in this game. They had every opportunity to hold on and finish this one off, and it wouldn't have had to come down to that last shot. So, it's one of those things. You're going to want to blame the official, but there certainly are a lot of other areas of this game that you can look back and say, well, the Kings probably would have won if that play went differently.
Shout out. We got the bouncer here in the chat. What is up? Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just unfortunate. We saw multiple travel or carry calls on the Sacramento Kings throughout this game. You know, when you talk about refereeing, there's usually calls, you know, in the game where you're like, well, what about this? This call with 2 minutes left or a minute left, you know. We don't know if it would have impacted the game, but it was a bad call. It's unfortunate because this is a game, you know, winning 3-point shot here, something you would hope, at least maybe in the future, is reviewed. It's just really, really unfortunate timing. But you mentioned, the Kings were up 8. The Heat went on I believe a 15-5 run to be up at that point, and then the Kings battle back. And unfortunately, this is something that's going to show up on the 2-minute report, and Kings fans are going to be talking about for a little while here. But hey, let's take some positives from this game. You know, Kings played strong. They played well. They had good ball movement. You talked about the assist numbers. They were in this game, you know, every single quarter. This game was extremely close. I think the Kings, you know, outscored the Heat by 1 in the first quarter. The Heat outscored the Kings by 1 in the second quarter. The Kings outscored the Heat by 1 in the third quarter. You know, so it's a very, very, very close game. And it's good to see. We didn't really have any lack. There was moments, you know, I talk about that 15-5 run, but we didn't really see moments where the Kings just completely fell apart offensively or defensively and allowed Miami to go on these huge runs to put themselves up, you know, 10, 15, 20 points like we've seen in previous games this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, this was a really, really entertaining game to watch all the way through. I mean, if you're not a fan of either one of these teams, you know, you had a lot of fun watching this game because it was back and forth the whole way. A lot of threes made, some really, really good play from both teams. And unfortunately for us Kings fans, it ends the way that it ends. So hopefully they can recover quickly because they've got to turn around and play another game in Florida before coming back to play the Warriors. So, you know, I think Mike Brown will be able to process this for them. I'm happy to see the coach, you know, stand up for the missed call and all that stuff. That a coach is part of a coach's responsibility is for that. But at the same time, if you're a player, and the coaches help with this, obviously, you've got to be able to compartmentalize and, you know, it's like get that game out of your head because we've got to play another one very quickly.
Very true. And you know, the BS thing about this whole thing is he's probably going to get fined for criticizing the officials after the loss. And then the 2-minute report's going to come out and say the refs were wrong and that Mike Brown was right, yet he's still fined. So I get, you know, you don't want coaches blatantly, calling out referees and all this stuff. But the refs were wrong, like straight up, you know, and this was the turning point of the game. I mean, the Kings get the ball, they either hit a shot or it goes to overtime. Maybe they do lose, but you know, this call basically gave the game to the Heat, ensured that they were going to win this game. The Kings had no timeouts left. They had just over a second left. We saw basically a touchdown pass to Sabonis. He tries to go up for the 3, and then they call an offensive foul on him. So just a couple calls, you know, added together here. Maybe it was the right call, maybe it wasn't. Just I'm talking about the Sabonis call, but just quite unfortunate. But I want to show you guys, shout out to Alex and shout out to Neil here. But, you know, I predicted a Kings win tonight. I'll take full responsibility. I also predicted the last 2 Kings wins. But, Calvin, I believe I sent you this video yesterday. This video was circulating. That's a hard word to say. Circulating after the Kings' last victory. As soon as I saw this video, I knew the Kings were going to lose this game. I want to hear from you guys. Here it is.
The Kings won, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. The Sacramento Kings, oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. Fox is so fast. Sabonis is so strong, yeah. Coach Mike is so smart, yeah. They are the playoff bound, yeah.
Sabonis. Dude, I swear, as soon as I saw that, I was like, what in the hell is going on here? Some Kings fan probably paid them to do that on Cameo. And
probably.
Yeah, that's the last thing we need is the Island boys rooting for the Sacramento Kings. Just gonna throw that out there.
This team already has the deck stacked against them enough. They don't need anything more.
So if you guys have been watching the show for a while here, you'll know that on Wednesday nights we do Wednesday night parties on our other channel, Basketball at the Bar. That will be starting in about 45 minutes, so we'll definitely be hanging out with you guys until that starts. And then this video should redirect you right till that video, and we'll talk about all the stuff that's going on in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving, Steve Nash, and every other fun story. There's a big story I want to talk about since we are going to be talking about the Nets, but I know it's kind of Kings related because we have some fans in the chat here of this person. But Calvin, you want to say the name or the word that's forbidden on this channel?
Here we go again. The Ben Simmons saga 2.0 has officially begun in Sacramento.
The Ben Simmons saga. I saw a report today that apparently Ben Simmons is being shopped by the Brooklyn Nets, and they are looking for a veteran shooter. It's too bad we don't have Buddy Hield anymore, Cal, but, what are your thoughts on this? I'm not trading him Huerter. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, I don't think that Monty would do that. I would be very, very surprised. Look, I'm still in the same boat on Ben Simmons as I was last year. I'm really wary of trading for him. I understand there's basically two camps on Ben Simmons right now. The camp that says, look, give him more time. He's very rusty. He's playing with a new team. He's had a lot of time off. He's had a lot of injuries to overcome. It's just going to take time. And I do think that there's a lot of truth to that. I do think that he will eventually start to regain some of that form that we saw early on in his career. The other camp is Ben Simmons is completely washed. He can't play anymore. He sucks. Don't trade for him. I'm somewhere in the middle on this right now. I do think that Ben Simmons is rusty and he's in a new situation and there's a lot of pressure on him right away. The spotlight is on him intensely and it's a little bit unfair currently. However, when I watch him play, it's more to me than just overcoming the rust and the injuries. He looks mentally like a different player, and some of that is because he's with a new team and he's trying to figure out his role. But we talked about Sabonis maybe being a little too tentative on the last episode of this podcast. I see Ben Simmons being incredibly tentative all the time. Offensively. And yes, new teammates, new system, new team, all that stuff plays a role in that. But one of Ben Simmons' best qualities is his ability to get to the basket and be aggressive and attack the rim. And I don't see him do that anymore. So to me, there's overcoming the injuries, and there's also this huge mental block I think that he's got to get through. And I don't know how long it's going to take him to get through that. That's the biggest worry for me with Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good worry. He didn't want all the pressure in Philadelphia. Brooklyn's got a lot of pressure, although he is not, the best player or the second best player on that team. A lot of people think that Sacramento doesn't have pressure, right? Because it's a small market team. We haven't won for the longest time, but I could definitely see the pressure building up on a guy like Ben Simmons if he were to be traded to a team like Sacramento and not play as well as we'd expect. Our fan base is patient, but we need to see some progress out of people. I don't know if we're patient enough to have Ben Simmons. I would be open. I'm going to say this. I would be open to adding him to our squad if the price is right. However,
exactly. That's what it all comes down to, is what does it cost
any
to
major assets to bring this guy in.
Are you giving up one or more draft picks, first-round draft pick?
It's so hard to say, man, because
Brooklyn doesn't have a lot of draft capital right now. They've lost a lot of their picks, so I'm sure that's going to be something that they're pressing hard for to get back in return.
Yeah, it's tough for me because the Huerter acquisition, which I like it. Kevin Huerter has been played exceptionally well for us. But that pick is protected, I think, so it could draw out for 2 or 3 seasons, which in turn would not allow us to trade a first round pick until I think 2 years after that. So I don't know if I want to give up picks that far in the future. I don't know if picks that far in the future would entice a team like Brooklyn to move on from a guy like Ben Simmons. But at the same time, it's like, dude, prime Ben Simmons was an amazing basketball player. He was one of the best defenders in the NBA. He was a mismatch every single night to every point guard in the league. And then I don't know what happened, man. I honestly don't, right? It almost shines a light on one of the most important aspects of a basketball player, and that's mental toughness or mental fortitude, right? We all are enamored by, oh, this guy is this tall, or this guy can shoot this well, or this guy's this athletic. But being a professional basketball player is a constant grind on your body and on your mental state. And I don't know if Ben Simmons has the mental state to, I don't want to say pull out of this hole, but return to the heights that he was at before. I think that it took a lot of confidence to play the way he did before. And I do not see anything solving the issues that he's dealing with in the short term.
Yeah, it is a gamble. And look, it could pay off phenomenally well if you're Sacramento. But it could also be the exact opposite of that. It's a tough thing to weigh right now, especially this early in the season. You know, I mean, I think that we all expect Monty to be looking at certain roster moves when it comes to trades. Harrison Barnes, maybe Richaun Holmes, something like that. And I'm in the boat of, if you can get Ben Simmons for some combination of those guys and, you know, maybe a second round pick or something that's not giving up too much in terms of draft capital, I'm willing to give that a shot. I just wonder what Brooklyn is going to be asking for in return. I realize that Ben Simmons' value is low right now, but it seems like every team, you know, we saw this all summer long with Kevin Durant. Again, very, very different players, but the Nets are going to want to maximize not being able to use this guy, right? They gave up James Harden to get him, and he hasn't done anything for them in replace of that. So it's a difficult, problem to solve if you're the Kings.
Yeah, and Sass, I don't think we can give up a first-round pick till like 2027 or 2028. We're almost in the same boat as the Lakers right now as far as future draft picks. I agree with Nate here, though. I would say this game wasn't a bad loss, other than the 3-point shot there at the end, which should have been a travel. It's not a bad loss for the Kings. You know, they played hard. They were involved. You know, no De'Aaron Fox. Everyone was talking about, wow, with De'Aaron Fox, this team's not winning anything. They won the last game. They were in this game. They had a chance to win it, all without their best player in De'Aaron Fox. And honestly, Calvin, I'm starting to think that Kevin Huerter is the best player on this Kings team, because the dude has just been playing incredibly well.
He's been great.
Incredibly well.
He is exactly what the Kings wanted Buddy Hield to be so far. It's a small sample size, but when they traded for Buddy Hield, that was the player that they were hoping they would get. And Kevin Huerter's been really fantastic for Sacramento.
Do you have like maybe a ceiling for Kevin Huerter, or like, is there a former player that maybe he reminds you of? Like, I'm just trying to think, you know, obviously I think we got this guy for a pretty good deal, right? Our front office has been analytics driven. They look for deals, right? I think we got him for a deal. I think he's going to continue to get better. How much better, I'm not really quite sure. So I just want to know from you, you know, where do you see the ceiling at for this guy? And, what kind of other player would you compare him to?
Well, to be honest, Kevin Huerter reminds me a lot of Reggie Miller. A guy that is such a threat offensively, moves really well without the ball, great catch and shoot, obviously great three-point shooter overall, not really known as the best defender or lockdown defender, but a guy that's going to give effort, but just a really, really solid offensive player. He's got a bit of a playmaking package, I would say, as well. I think that Kevin Huerter is fitting into exactly what his role needs to be on this team. They need a guy that they can rely on to get the ball late in the shot clock when the offense isn't working, and just say, hey, you're our best option right now. Chuck it up from three, and we'll see what happens. And when I say chuck it up, it's not like a Buddy Hield chuck it up. It's actually a legit shot that he can either get on his own or through moving without the ball within the offense, which is why I would say he reminds me a little bit of Reggie Miller.
That's a great comparison, and I hope he can achieve what Reggie Miller has achieved, or at least come close to that. I like Kevin Huerter a lot, man. He's been shooting the ball so exceptionally well from three-point range. And, I know how shooters work, right? They get hot, and then they get cold, and then they get hot again, and it's kind of a streak. So I'm really enjoying that he's on it from three-point range, or has been over the past few games. I hope he can continue this. Definitely going to help the Kings win some games. Let's move here into Keegan Murray. I mentioned 27 minutes for him tonight. Only 7 points, 3 of 7, 1 for 5 from three-point range. He was involved, 3 assists for him in this game. But I think this is the first game we've really seen him as a starter struggle to shoot the ball well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it wasn't his best game. I mean, Keegan's played so well in his first few games preseason and early on, and he's so robotic in the way that he goes about it that you just expect it to never stop, and that's silly to think, right? The guy's still a rookie. Even years after this, he's going to have off nights where he doesn't shoot well. But yeah, like you said, you want to see how he can affect the game, outside of that. And he didn't necessarily play many big minutes down the stretch. I know that's been a topic of conversation from a lot of people in the chat and fans, whether or not he should have been on the floor. It's a long year. Your first year is a huge learning process. And he definitely seems like the type of person that, we talk about not getting too high, not getting too low. He'll be able to objectively look at the film here and figure out where he can get better. And offensively, we know that he's good enough. We know that he can shoot. So you're going to just tell him, hey, keep shooting. Shoot your way out of it.
What's up, Ninja? Good to see you in here. And what's up, T? Thanks for joining in. Back real quick on the Ben Simmons issue. Ninja wants to know if you would do Holmes and Barnes for Ben Simmons. Says we might even be able to get a pick in return. I don't agree with that. But what do you think? Holmes, Barnes for Ben Simmons? I think I'd do that deal.
Yeah, I would do that deal. I would.
Do you think that deal
still
helps?
Scares me a little bit, but I would.
Does that help the Nets?
Actually, yeah, I think it does help the Nets. They don't have much of an inside presence at all. Nick Claxton is their starting center right now, unless they use Ben Simmons in that role. But Rashawn Holmes could provide them a lot of help with a rim runner, somebody that Kyrie Irving can use in the pick and roll game. So I do think that helps the Nets. Does it turn them into the championship contender everyone expected them to be at the beginning of the season? Probably not. But I think it does help them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could definitely help them. And I think that probably helps the Sacramento Kings. However, I did have to say, I like what I saw out of Rashawn Holmes tonight. Only played 11 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds, but he made both of his shots. And I honestly saw probably the first push shot this year that I've seen from Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
A nice little pocket pass for him rolling towards the basket. I saw a bunch of really beautiful passes by the Sacramento Kings in this game. It was.
They had almost 30 assists.
The ball movement was phenomenal. It really was. Let's talk a little bit about Dellavedova. Sass says, I hope Delly gets more minutes. I like Delly's game tonight. 20 minutes for him, 5 points, 2 rebounds, and assists, 4 personal fouls, made 1 3-pointer, had a little layup or a little push shot late in the game to tie it up. I like Delly a lot. One thing I really questioned about him going into the season was, when was the last time he played in the NBA? I know he's been playing overseas. Is he still going to have it? Is he going to be able to play at this level? Obviously, he's there on the defensive end of the floor, and I love seeing him and Davion Mitchell out there at the same time. It's kind of fun watching those two little pests, just chasing after people. What are your thoughts on Dellavedova? What do you think he brings to this team? And can you kind of weigh him out in Davion when Fox returns? Like who are you interested in seeing get more minutes?
That's a tough call for me because I really do like both players for different reasons. To me, when you ask what can Dellavedova bring to this team, this is exactly why I said repeatedly when they signed him this summer that he was going to make the final roster on this team, because he's a veteran guy who's played on really, really good teams, has a lot of experience, been a very solid overall player in the league for a long time, somebody that you can count on in certain moments like this. When his name's called, he's going to be ready to step up. And that's why I thought in today's NBA, you never know when some guy's going to have to miss a game because of an illness, COVID, injuries all the time. So having that safety valve deep on your bench in your point guard depth chart is really, really valuable. And it's proving or it's coming to fruition right now with Fox not being able to play. When he does come back, I don't know. I mean, Mike Brown, I think, is definitely still searching for his true rotation. He's not 100% convinced on that yet. So in that regard, I think you could see an opportunity for Delly to still get playing time and maybe Davion's minutes shrink a little bit. Davion has had a couple of better games, be playing more recently as well, though. So it's a tough call, and ultimately Mike Brown is the one that's going to make the decision, not me. So it's just a total guess at this point. But this is exactly why Delly's on this team, for these moments.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's kind of situationally put out there to get stops. And yeah, he can pass the ball a little bit. But, tonight Sabonis led the team in assists with 8. Second was Malik Monk. Dude, I got to give a shout out to my guy Malik Monk. He was throwing dimes out there tonight. He had a block in this game. I love what I saw to Malik Monk. And, when you think of him, you don't really think of a distributor. So it was really cool to see him, dish out 7 assists tonight. I'd like to see him continue to do that a little bit more. I think it opens up things a little bit for him. And, I kind of talked about just a couple games ago, we saw the chemistry between him and Fox, right? With the alley-oop, dunks, back and forth. I really think that this dude has, some more to offer this team, and I'm excited to see that. What's up, Brian? Brian wants me to mention that Keegan Murray also had 2 blocks and 1 steal tonight. Good point, Brian. Those stats are definitely important and do get lost when you go over the basic box score a lot of times. But I think what most Kings fans are looking for from Keegan Murray is shooting and some offensive numbers. Only 7 points for him. Obviously, we'd like to see him do a little bit better. If he would have made 2 more threes, if Terrence Davis had made a 3 in this game, the Kings would have been in a much better position. But that's how it goes. You shoot 3s, sometimes they go in, and sometimes they do not. All right. Nate says, I like what Delly did, but to do that in the third quarter would have been better than the fourth. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Were you surprised to see Richaun Holmes out there as much as we did tonight?
No, I wasn't surprised. I mean, as I just said before, I think Mike Brown is still trying to figure out what he's got here, whether it's to a fault or not, trying to tinker around with it too much. But Sabonis can't play the whole game. If he's going to play the 5, he's going to need somebody to come in and back him up. And the Kings haven't really had anybody step up and totally seize that position yet. So you definitely hope, as long as Richaun is in Sacramento, that he's going to be that guy.
Yeah, and speaking of Sabonis, I thought he did a really good job playing the center tonight. The Kings give up 110 in this game, but it it didn't feel the same as some of these past games where, you know, the lane's just been wide open and people have got to the rim at ease. I don't know if this is a game plan maybe by Miami, you know, having an older Kyle Lowry, not Jimmy Butler out there. You know, they didn't really attack Sabonis, and that's probably a reason why Sabonis, you know, wasn't in foul trouble in this game. But also, you know, guys like Keegan Murray, guys like Malik Monk, did a great job with help defense, came across, got a couple blocks. You know, I really noticed more of a team defense in this game as opposed to some of the past games.
Yeah. I mean, Miami over the past few years has been one of the league leaders in 3-point attempts. So they definitely play a more perimeter-oriented game as opposed to some of the other teams the Kings have just played, like Memphis, for example, which attacks the rim at will all night long. So I think that that's maybe a little bit of why there wasn't as much pressure on the Kings in the paint tonight. But, you know, it's a game-by-game thing when you come to that. The Kings were knocking down their outside shots today, too, which gave less opportunities to get transition looks, you know, for Miami. Unlike some other games that we've seen from Sacramento in the past. So just a game-by-game thing, I would say.
Yep. I need all my Kings fans out there to smash up the like button. We need to get some more likes on this video. Go ahead and share it with all your friends. Hit that subscribe button as well. Don't make me play that Island Boys video again. I'll do it. I swear. I will definitely do that.
Please don't.
I want to talk about the game the upcoming game against the Orlando Magic. We only got about, 15 minutes here before we were going to switch over to Wednesday night parties at Basketball at the Bar. So make sure you guys join in for that. But I want to touch a little bit on Harrison Barnes here. A guy that you and I have kind of questioned this year, someone that's been, pretty much the most consistent guy on the Kings over the past couple years. I think he started out this season pretty slow. 12 points for him tonight, 7 rebounds and assists, 4 of 12 from the field. Not good at all. And I saw somebody here in the chat, Sass, said, I thought Barnes was forcing too much, had some bad shots, and missed wide open teammates. I also saw him miss, wide open threes in the corner. What are you thinking about Harrison Barnes? Where are you at with him right now?
I'm still in the same boat on Harrison. I love Harrison as a player. I think obviously his skills are slowly diminishing, year by year. And I've felt like he was one of these guys that's slowly on the hot seat, if you will, or like slowly on the way out, pretty much. This is his last year, at least contract-wise. I don't expect him to return next year, whether they trade him or not. The one thing I'll say about his production, if you look at his stats, the shooting, yes, has been bad. But in the past, the Kings have needed Harrison Barnes to score in order to be competitive and stay in games. They've needed 18, 19, 20 points from him at times. This year, they don't need that from him. They have a much better complete cast on offense of guys that are capable of scoring. So you're not going to see the games where he is at the 20 to 25 point mark unless he just comes out on fire. That's not what they need from him. He's a great rebounder for somebody his size. He still brings that to this team. He's a solid defender. Again, I think he's not as good as what he used to be. But he's still a guy that knows where to be and knows how to position his body. And again, is a good, great at blocking out for somebody his size and can get rebounds. So that's what he gives this team right now. I still think that the Kings, if they're looking for ways to upgrade the roster through trades, his name is probably going to be the first name mentioned in every trade negotiation.
Yeah, you mentioned rebounds. He absolutely had a critical rebound late in this game in the fourth quarter off a missed shot by the Miami Heat. Normally a situation where the team would get an offensive rebound and end up screwing over the Kings. It bounces around. Harrison Barnes comes up with the rebound there, which I love to see. But yeah, I still have a lot of questions about HB this year, right? Like he's entering in this is a contract year for him, right? It's the last year of this contract. He's getting a little bit older. This is probably his last chance at maybe getting one more bag in the league, unless he decides, I'm just going to ring chase at this point. He already has a ring, so maybe he doesn't need to do that. But if you're a contender, and you're looking for a little bit of help, I wouldn't say, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I wouldn't say like the Warriors maybe fall into this category because they have a ton of talent. But maybe if you are a team like the Brooklyn Nets, maybe the Miami Heat, maybe one of these teams when you get a little bit further into the season and you're like, we need one more piece or one more guy. Is Harrison Barnes a guy that really stands out to you? Is he somebody that, you're willing to give up an asset for? Or you think teams are better off just kind of waiting till the offseason because they pretty much see the writing on the wall already for him in Sacramento, and they're going to wait to maybe add him next offseason?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer, man. I mean, look, I think it's different for every team around the league, how you're looking at improving your roster, and which teams are more desperate to make a move at this moment, as opposed to maybe in a month or two. So it definitely is just going to depend on whichever team is Sacramento is talking with at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, Sass says Sabonis is rounding back to his all-star self. Almost a triple-double tonight. Was definitely looking good and a lot more aggressive tonight than in some of those previous games. All right, I want to look here into the next schedule, but before I do that, I'm playing the video, Cal.
The Kings won, yeah. Oh yeah, the Kings won, yeah. The Sacramento Kings, oh yeah, the Kings won, yeah. Fox is so fast, Sabonis is so strong, yeah. Coach Mike is so smart, yeah. They are the playoff bound, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that video, I knew we were losing this game tonight. But hey, enough talking about the past, Calvin. Let's talk about the future. The Kings take on the Orlando Magic on Saturday in Orlando. They're already in Florida, so they're probably got a couple days here to practice, adjust to the time change or whatever they want to do. This is a pretty early game for them, and where they're taking on the number one overall pick in the draft. De'Aaron Fox is listed as out. This could change. He could be available for this game. We'll check in with James Ham and see if we can get some updates. Gary Harris is listed as out. Mo Wagner is listed as out. Dude, I was watching Franz Wagner the other day. The dude is playing well, man. I think this team has got a lot of young talent. It really does. Terrence Davis listed as day-to-day. Orlando is 1-7, so we got them beat already in that category. But Calvin, what are you looking for in this game other than trying to acquire Mo Bamba?
And there it is on cue from the bouncer. What happened to Mo Bamba? That was good. I'm just looking to see how the Kings respond after losing a tough, hard-fought game, against what I think a lot of people still consider one of the better teams in the league, even though their record doesn't show it. How do you respond from a tough situation? You're upset with the refs for a no call there at the end. It could have gone differently. They go to overtime, maybe they win. Now you've got to rebound and play a team that you're expected to beat. This is something that we just talked about with Charlotte, down 15 at halftime to a team that you should be beating. I know it's a road game. You're a long ways away from home, but this is how you overcome some of these difficult bumps in the schedule, right, where you lose a few games in a row. If the Kings are going to work back towards being a playoff team, the days of the 6-game, 7-game, 8-game, 9-game losing streaks have to be done. They have to be able to snap those by taking advantage of beating teams that they should, and this is one of those games.
Yeah, it's almost like this is more of a pressure game than the game was tonight against the Heat, right? Because no one expected you to beat the Heat, even though you just beat them a couple nights ago. But you're right, this is, in my mind, a must-win game. If the Kings, fall to 2-6, and they're facing the Golden State Warriors next, even though the Warriors have not been playing exceptionally well, it is the Warriors and the reigning champs. So I think they need to win this game. Matthew, you're killing me here in the chat. Coach Brown is so smart. Yeah. We can play that video after every win. We won't play it anymore tonight. But we could play that after every win. We can, the Island Boys can officially, sponsor this channel. I do have to say, Calvin, I think you and I are more Island Boys than those guys. Just going to throw that out there.
Well, we do live on an island. I really know nothing about those guys other than they can't really sing or rap, and people watch their videos still.
Yeah, and you're a rapper, right?
I wouldn't go that far, but
I'll be the guy in the background.
I like it, yes.
You can be the main guy, and saying sub bonus, and I'll be the guy in the background just saying, it's so smart, or so strong, so smart. But no, for real, back to this game. I'm really excited to watch this game. Some people might hate on me for this, but I think this Orlando Magic team has a lot of potential. I think it's a little early for them to start winning a ton of games this season, but they have a lot of young talent. Hopefully the Kings can, pry away some of those guys, like, one of those rim protectors in Bol or Mo Bamba. But this team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. The thing that I'm really looking forward to, or looking for in this game, if I'm the Sacramento Kings, is how Keegan Murray responds, right? He did not play exceptionally well tonight offensively. We know he's a rookie. He's young, but he's very, very poised. I've talked about how he doesn't seem to get too high or too low. So I think him rebounding in this game is going to be huge for Sacramento. It's going to be big for his confidence and for the team as a whole. So I'm really excited to see what he does, and whether we see De'Aaron Fox return. Because if he does not, it's going to be the Davion Mitchell show again. And we'll see if the ball movement remains. One thing that you and I have talked about, and I don't mean to hate on De'Aaron Fox here at all, because I'm not hating on him. But one thing that I've noticed is that when he's not on the floor, the ball seems to move a little bit freer. And, maybe that's because, he's a ball dominant point guard. He's exceptionally fast with the ball. I think he even quoted saying, I'm faster with the ball than I am without the ball. But it's kind of what I was talking about with LeBron James early on in his career, was people were so, enamored watching him and the amazing things that he could do that they would forget to move. And then the ball wouldn't move and people would be stuck around watching him play. I'm not comparing, Fox to LeBron here, but I do see some similarities in some of the teammates, not moving as much. Now, Kevin Huerter, that guy has moved incredibly well. One thing I do have to say about Buddy Hield, the guy that he replaced, is Buddy Hield was always moving. He was running. They were tracking him. This dude was running, miles every single game. He was one of the most, I guess, I don't even know how to say this. One of the guys that moved the most per game in the NBA over the past couple seasons.
Traveled the most distance.
There you go. He took the most steps, like we did in San Francisco. But I've really seen that out of Kevin Huerter, and I hope that he continues to do that, because that is really, really so important. And I think it's, maybe it's a lack of chemistry between him and De'Aaron Fox because they haven't played much together. But I think once they're kind of on the same page, he will be allowed to move a little bit more freely while Fox is moving with the ball, because Fox is so fast, you don't really know where to go if you're, on his team when he's coming at you full speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to balance, right? When you have a guy who's one of the best in the league at getting to the basket, and you have a plethora of really good outside shooters around him that you'd like to be constantly keeping in motion to keep the defense off guard, so they don't know when or where that next three-point shot's going to come from. But the confliction between that is, if you've got all this movement from your players off the ball, sometimes that can make it harder to penetrate and get into the lane for De'Aaron Fox. So it's a tough thing to balance right now. I think, they need more practice, obviously, and more time playing together. But I like the way that it's looked so far. I really do. I mean, I think that it's a good problem to have, having all these guys that you think we should be getting the ball to more, maybe like Keegan Murray or Malik Monk or Keegan, or sorry, I already said Keegan, but and then also having a guy in De'Aaron Fox who we said so many times last year he got off to such a slow start and everybody was just waiting for De'Aaron Fox to kind of turn it on. Well, he's turned it on right away from the beginning this year, so you can't ask for anything more from him.
Yeah. Couple updates real quick. The Astros did tie the World Series, now tied 2 games apiece, and the Lakers tied this game. We're heading to overtime. 111 with the New Orleans Pelicans. Lakers are trying to tie the Kings here and get another W.
This would be a big win for them.
Let's look here at the box score. While I'm looking through here, I see some people here talking about KZ again. He's a guy that you wanted to see start or at least play a lot of minutes. He got another DNP tonight. Would have been helpful late in the game to have him out there. Any thoughts on why KZ's not getting any minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably just the same situation. He has fallen out of the rotation because he didn't get off to a good enough start, and he's not a good enough offensive player as of right now to make you think like, okay, well, maybe he'll catch fire and we can throw him out there. And I'm personally not a fan of, even if a guy is a defensive stopper, if he hasn't played for the entire game, putting him in a tie game with 3 seconds left or whatever and saying, hey, go stop Tyler Hero, who's on a mad run right now, that's not a good position to put anybody in. So I would have probably preferred Keegan Murray on that spot. But to be fair, I mean, people are talking about who would have been better in that situation. If that travel call gets made, Terrence Davis's contest basically forces that travel. So It's not like you can be totally upset with the way Terrence Davis played that possession. It's just a missed call and a good shot by Tyler Hero. So
the refs get us once again, dude. It's been going on for 20 years now. But yeah. I mean, I would have liked to see Davion Mitchell out there on him, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, the Kings lose tonight. Anyways, that wraps up our show here on Royal Rebounds. We are going to be moving over onto Basketball at the Bar for Wednesday night parties. If you'd like to join us for that, just stick around here on the video. It will reroute you. If it doesn't, just head on over to Basketball at the Bar. We should be live there in about 5 minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you all on Saturday. Any last words, Cal?
Thanks for watching. Hopefully we get a win to talk about on Saturday, and we'll break out the victory chain one more time.
And the Victory Island Boys video.
The Victory Island Boys, yes.
As well. Come hang out with us on Basketball at the Bar here. We want to party. If you want to stay up and talk basketball, we're going to be talking about Calvin's favorite team, the Brooklyn Nets. Definitely giving them a hard time about that. But thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, go Kings.